There was a time when every sunset was a sentence, not a promise, not a beautiful ending to the day, a sentence. Because when darkness arrived, the world belonged to something else. Imagine standing in the middle of an open plain nearly 1 million years ago. The air is cooling rapidly. The wind carries unfamiliar sounds across the grasslands. Somewhere in the distance, a lion roars. You cannot see it, but you know it is there. Watching, waiting in the shadows. Your family huddles together. No walls protect you. No doors separate you from the wilderness. No fire keeps the predators away. Only darkness and hope. For hundreds of thousands of years, night was humanity's greatest enemy. The strongest hunters came alive after sunset, eyes hidden in the shadows, silent footsteps, sharp teeth. To survive until morning was never guaranteed. Every sunrise was another victory. Every sunset, another test. Yet somewhere in this dangerous world, everything was about to change. Not because humans became stronger, not because they became faster, but because they learned to control fire. Today, a single flame can be created with the press of a button. We light candles without thinking. We cook dinner without effort. We warm our homes in winter. Fire has become ordinary, so ordinary that we rarely stop to wonder how impossible it once seemed. But for our ancestors, fire was more mysterious than the stars. It fell from the sky, it devoured forests, it glowed with frightening beauty. It destroyed everything in its path, and somehow humans decided not to run away. They walked toward it. That single decision changed the future of our species forever. The discovery of fire was never just about warmth. It changed how humans ate, how they slept, how they hunted, how they protected their children, how they communicated, even how the human brain evolved. Some anthropologists believe that without fire, modern civilization would never have existed. No cities, no metal, no glass, no engines, no electricity, no rockets. Every invention that followed can trace part of its story back to fire burning in the darkness. Tonight, we return to the beginning, to discover how we learned to command nature's powerful forces. For countless generations, fire was both feared and admired. A tree exploded into flames. Within moments, an entire forest became an ocean of fire. The heat was unbearable. To early humans, it must have looked like the earth itself had come alive. No one understood it. When the flames finally died, something unusual remained. The ground was black, the trees were gone, but hidden beneath the ashes, small glowing embers still breathed with quiet life. Someone noticed. Someone stepped closer. Perhaps it was an old hunter, perhaps a curious child, perhaps a mother searching for warmth. History cannot tell us who it was, but someone reached out, not to destroy the fire, but to keep it alive. One of the greatest turning points in human history. At first, people protected it. A burning branch became more valuable than any weapon. If the flame died, it might take months before another natural fire could be found. Keeping the fire alive became a responsibility shared by the entire group. It needed constant attention. The fire became the center of the camp, not only for warmth, but for security. For the first time, darkness was no longer absolute. The circle of light pushed back the unknown. Predators hesitated. Lions avoided the flames. Even the bravest hunters respected the burning light. For early humans, this was freedom. For the first time in history, night belonged to humanity. The hunt was over. The danger had passed. There was finally time. Time to speak. Time to laugh. Around those ancient fires, knowledge began to flow. Hunters explained where animals migrated. Mothers taught children. Skilled toolmakers showed younger hands how to shape sharp stone blades. Stories became lessons. Lessons became traditions. Traditions became culture. The human mind itself transformed. Language became richer. Ideas became more complex. Memories stretched across generations. Knowledge grows stronger when it is shared. One discovery became everyone's discovery. Then another discovery changed everything. Someone placed food near the fire. Raw meat slowly roasted. Cooking made food easier to digest. Humans absorbed more energy from the same meal. More energy supported larger brains. Larger brains supported better planning. Better planning improved survival. A simple meal quietly reshaped the future of our species. Fire had become transformation, fade to black, but humanity still depended on nature. The flame they carried could die at any moment. Everything would change once humans learned to make fire for themselves. That story begins with 2 stones. The fire changed the rhythm of human life. For generations, daylight controlled every decision. Darkness was no longer the end of the day. A second world emerged around the flames. Fire gave humanity time to think, time to plan, time to imagine. That was its greatest gift. Every civilization begins as an idea. Ideas require conversation. Fire created both. Imagine those evenings. A small circle of light flickers against the darkness. Beyond it, nothing. Branches snapping, the low growl of an unseen predator. Inside the circle, children lean closer. He remembers a valley where great herds gathered. He explains why certain rivers flood. No paper, no ink. Knowledge survives because someone is willing to remember, and someone else is willing to listen. During the hunt, everyone had a role: speed, strength, but around the fire, something else mattered: wisdom. The oldest members became the most valuable. They knew where water remained during drought, which plants healed. Memory became a form of wealth. Long before coins, knowledge was humanity's greatest treasure. As centuries passed, fire spread. Every migration carried glowing embers into new lands, across mountains, through valleys. They were becoming inventors. One discovery led to another. Curiosity became a habit. Questions over certainty. They were becoming inventors. One discovery led to another. Curiosity became a habit. Questions over certainty. Simple questions, simple experiments. But history is changed by ordinary people asking extraordinary questions. That quiet curiosity produced farming, astronomy, engineering, all because someone refused to stop wondering. Yet one challenge remained. Humanity depended on nature to create fire, a storm, a lightning strike, a wildfire. The next breakthrough required understanding. Humans were about to create fire with their own hands. Not every discovery arrives with celebration. Some arrive through tragedy. Picture a dry season unlike any before. Not every discovery arrives with celebration. Some arrive through tragedy. Picture a dry season unlike any before. Then, without warning, lightning crashes. A single tree erupts. The fire races faster than any human can run. Massive herds thunder across the plains. Predators abandon the hunt. To survive, the people run. The roar fades. The smoke clears. Everything is black. But someone notices movement, a tiny orange glow, still warm. The group gathers. Nobody speaks. One cautious hand reaches forward, just enough to feel the heat. It is concentrated, controlled. One dry twig is placed beside the ember. A faint crackling sound. A thin ribbon of smoke curls into the air. The ember is carried back as the most precious object on earth. The darkness no longer feels endless. Fear loses its power. Moments later, a small flame appears. Every face is illuminated by the same silent realization. This light can survive. History has quietly changed direction through one fragile flame. Thousands of generations later, archaeologists will uncover ancient hearths. But one mystery remained. If the last ember disappeared, Everything was lost. How do you make fire? When there is none, they whisper the story of a moment no human ever recorded. When fear became understanding, when civilization became possible. The answer would demand patience, observation, experiment. No teacher, only failure. Generation after generation, people watched. They saw patterns. They began asking, what happens if two stones strike each other? Most attempts failed. Nothing happened. Again, nothing. Then, one day, a spark landed exactly where it needed to. Someone leaned closer. Another breath, another spark. Smoke thickened. Then, flame. Not borrowed from lightning, created by human hands. Humanity no longer waited for nature. Nature answered to humanity. From that moment, every journey became different. Warmth could travel with them. Darkness challenged. Cold resisted. The impossible became ordinary. Civilizations are built by questions. The habit of asking why became our inheritance. From stone tools to spacecraft, from survival to civilization. But humanity was still wandering, still following nature. The next revolution would demand something even greater than fire, persuading the land to follow them. Fire transformed imagination. Around glowing embers, time slowed. Questions emerged. Why does the moon change shape? Where does the sun go? Wonder was born. The story was far from over. Certain stones melted. Copper emerged. Bronze. Iron. Empires rose upon technologies born from flames. Every rocket launched owes a debt to that first spark. A handful of seeds, a changing climate, the agricultural revolution. That is where our next story begins.